Hi there, and welcome to episode 20 of The Green Room here at the Green Age. And once again today, I'm joined by James.
Hi Nick, how are you?
I'm very well.
Good.
How's your week?
It's been good. Weather's warming up.
Weather's warming up. T-shirt
on.
Well into the Cricket World Cup right now.
Yes.
Champions League all over. Won't talk about the result.
No, we don't want to ruin it.
Yeah, exactly.
All good actually. All good. I love the sun.
Really?
Yeah, sun shining. It's just so much nicer. Take the dog for a walk in the morning, and it's not freezing and raining.
For me, it's the long days. I don't mind so much as the temperature. For me, it's just you can do so much. In the evenings.
Yeah, that's good.
So more leisure activities.
What have we got today?
Well, we were. This was on the cards for a few episodes, and we did promise this to our listeners and viewers. And,
our loyal listeners.
Well, some more loyal than others, but and regular contributors, should I say, and people that call us up for questions on the phone as well, or send us an email. It's questions from you guys. So hopefully, we're going to take each question on its merits, give you a fair and comprehensive answer.
We said we'd do this every 10 episodes. We'd just take a group of questions that we get via all the different ways that you interact with us, and then we thought we'd answer them. I'm going to quickly say before we jump onto these, if you would like to watch us, you can always watch us on YouTube. If you go onto the Green Room on YouTube, you'll find us. If you want to listen to us via our podcast and subscribe, you go onto the Green Age website, and there's a button right at the top that says podcast. You can click on that, and that will take you into various methods. You can listen to us in search for the Green Room or the Green Age on iTunes podcast, on Spotify, TuneIn Radio, Stitcher, and we're hosted on Podbean, so you can also go there and find us. So if you're keen to hear more from us, then please subscribe. Right, questions. Okay, so this one, they're all pretty specific actually this time. So we'll try and answer them. It might not take any time at all, in which case we've got some more time for news. But we'll just see how we get on. So, first question, how much land space do I need for a ground source heat pump?
Lots.
Good answer.
I'm going to elaborate on that. So, first of all, you need access. That's the most important thing. Mm-hmm. So if I'm in, central London or one of the big conurbations like Birmingham, etc., and it's fairly packed, you know, I'm not going to be able to get a digger because that's what you need. Ground source heat pumps need the ground. So you need to dig...
Well, there's two methods, right? Should we go into that one first? So you can get them vertical, right? And so you're doing boreholes. And as you say...
So you're going to need a digger, basically.
Yeah, have you ever seen Armageddon, the film Armageddon? Like, where they drill for oil?
Yes.
It's kind of like a mini one of those. And it's a proper rig. They come in and they drill deep holes, like 100...
Armageddon was all about the...
It was, but at the beginning.
Oh, it was at the beginning. Oh, right.
Anyway, but they drill these holes. They're you're looking 120 meters deep plus, right? Mm-hmm. So to be honest, the area of ground you need to do that isn't very big. But as you say, you need to get the tools in there. Mm-hmm. They have big cranes, so they can lift them over if you're mid-terrace. The key though is in London, always check. Don't start drilling 120 meter holes in the ground because you might come into a tube, or you might hit a sewer, or you might hit all sorts of stuff.
Or a diamond mine.
Which would be great. So, but you need to check. So don't do anything without the necessary permissions. The other type of a ground source heat pump is the one you were kind of alluding to, that if you need a decent amount of space, like an acre or something like that, and you're digging it into a sort of well that's not a trench. Mm-hmm. Yeah. So rather than going vertically,
it's effectively like an under tray. It's like an under tray, and then it gets. You get lots of cables and
so you get tubes and pipe work running through an acre of ground, but you're looking about sort of 2.5-3 meters down, so it's not particularly deep on the grand scheme of things. But as you said, number one, you need a decent amount of space, but you need to be able to get your digger to said location. Both of these technologies are a lot easier if you are outside a major conurbation.
And I was just going to say, so for the viewers that don't know, so a ground source heat pump, you're effectively using a predictable energy source like electricity to move heat from the ground to your house.
Yeah, basically, yeah. And it's using a compressor, drives the temperature up, it's nice and warm. If you're doing the boreholes, you can't have the boreholes too close together because obviously they're taking heat, so you don't want them taking heat from the same place because otherwise you'll have less heat. But you're still talking, you could do it in a sort of 10 by 10 square metre house comfortably
I've seen it on
10
your
by
sister's
10.
house, actually,
Yeah,
which is very interesting.
They don't have
but-
a massive garden, and it was just there.
But all I know, it just looked like an industrial site when the digger,
When the digger was there, and then when they
Massive.
finished, all you saw is these little tiny tubes in the ground. Like
Yep.
they're genuinely, they're like yay big, but they're very, very deep. So depends which one you go for. In vertically, you don't need much space. If it's horizontally, i.e. you're putting them in the trenches, then you need a much, much bigger space.
Okay.
Question 1.
Cool. So question 2, how much of the UK energy is currently renewable?
So we did a podcast on nuclear a couple of weeks
Two
ago.
episodes ago.
And we had some really interesting comments on that. I think the big laughing because they were actually quite funny, some of these comments. But some people consider nuclear to be a kind of renewable energy source, which I'm kind of okay with, but then others don't. So it very much depends, number one, on if you think that. But on the whole,
It's low carbon.
It's low carbon.
Yeah.
But about 30% is coming from renewables. So our main ones are nuclear, not nuclear, wind and solar.
Mm-hmm.
They're the two big ones. And offshore wind is really big. And then we do have some tidal. And we have some anaerobic digestion.
Biomass.
Biomass. And biomass is growing because a lot of the coal power plants that no longer burn coal burn biomass.
Converted, yeah.
Was it Drax? Is that the one that was converted to burn biomass?
The one at Tilbury, was it?
Can you have a look?
Was it in the Tilbury power plant?
I forgot to mention we've got Harry here. I feel like now she's getting
So-
involved on
so-
the audio.
So
We can
you
talk
can say
about it.
29-30% renewable, and you can say with adding nuclear, about 50% low carbon.
Yes, that's a nice way of saying it. But the majority still, or not the majority from one source is still gas. So we're still relying on bringing gas in. We produce a little bit from the North Sea, not half as much as Nicola Sturgeon would like, but we're bringing the majority in from Russia, and also we bring it in
Through
from
the
Middle
LNG
East.
terminals.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Right, this is an easy one. Do smart bulbs save you money? So smart, rather than energy saving, smart bulbs.
So I was going to make a comment there. So it depends how smart they are, James.
Okay, what is a smart bulb?
I assume it's one that's it's controlled either by an app or some sort of device, so that comes on and off at certain times that you want it to. So basically, it's controlled.
Yeah, so Philips do one, and as you say, it's a hub that plugs in. Is it the Philips
Hue.
Hue? I was going to say Lou, but yeah, Hue sounds better. And they do one, and basically you have a hub that plugs into your router, and then that will control. You need to get all the light bulbs around your house, and that will then control them and turn them on or off, which is quite a nice way.
I mean, Philips is just one of them, isn't it? Aren't other guys like Hive and
Yeah, I think there's loads of
Nest
companies that do
people
it.
coming
Yeah,
up
I
with-
think there are lots of companies that do it. They're
so home automation systems, yeah. So where
do they
lights,
say, yeah.
boilers, things like that. So you want to control as many things.
Do they
through
save
smart
money?
technologies.
Number one, it depends what bulb you were changing from. So if you're going from an incandescent to Philips Hue bulb, then yes, because you're going from an incandescent to an LED. It also, they're quite clever. You can kind of set them to turn off if you leave the house, for example, which means obviously you'll save electricity if you forget to turn the lights off. So my answer is yes, but not that much unless you're going from non-LED to the smart bulbs.
Okay, cool. Happy with that one?
Happy.
Yeah. Well, I'm gonna have to put Harry on the spot for this one.
I'm all right on this.
When can I apply for the warm home discount?
James?
No, I'm going to ask you, when can you? And then you can ask me, how do I?
Okay, so when you can, I'm pretty sure it opens different times for different energy suppliers, doesn't it? They open them at slightly different times.
Basically, the energy supplier is the fountain of knowledge in this one. So if you want to
Always check
apply
with the
for
energy
it,
supplier.
so basically, it's not like they give you a check. They give you a discount on your energy bill. Normally on your electricity bill. If you take gas and
Everyone's
electricity,
got electricity meters. Is that
yeah. But if you take gas and electricity, you can put it through your gas bill. However, it's all about calling the energy company. Number one, they have certain criteria. So it tends to be sort of low-income households. If you're on pension credit, all this sort of stuff. So give your energy company a call and see, because they might not tell you if you can be, and so you may as well make the call and ask.
Because there's two kind of ways to get it. One set of people, the core group of people, get it automatically, and you'll probably get like a letter from your energy supplier saying, "Hey, there's £140, which is the fixed amount that it is." Or if you're outside of that core group, then you have to apply. So that's why people want to know when
So ask the question, and you may get it.
But it's important to say check with the energy supplier. So rather than wait till kind of the middle of winter, try if they do open it up early, I suppose.
Yeah, do it. I mean, as I say, ask the question. But as you said, it opens once a year, essentially. I mean, as you
yeah. It won't be before the summer, because they the point they take it from, they take your circumstances from, I think it's like the 5th of July. I think it's
Okay. Does my landlord have an obligation to improve my insulation? Nicholas.
Oh, crikey. I think the answer is yes, based on April 2018 private rental. So if you're in the private rental sector, the answer is yes. But a lot of the times, how can I say, the landlords can find ways where, if it's too cost prohibitive. So say external wall insulation. So if you say to your landlord, "Oh, actually, I want you to put external wall insulation on my house."
Yeah.
But then it's going to cost £15,000. The landlord doesn't have to do it because it's deemed as a cost prohibitive measure.
Yeah.
But they do have to show the landlords that they are doing their best to put in cost effective measures like.
But this is to hit MEES, right? This is to hit the minimum energy efficiency standards. So in theory, that's all to do with an EPC rating.
It is,
so
but,
you
but
could
also
just put a new boiler
But
in.
you can, as a tenant, my understanding is on the PRC regulations, you can write to your landlord and say, what steps have you taken to improve the energy efficiency?
But could you not get a boiler instead of insulation?
Not
Do you
sure.
see what I mean?
Yeah, you could. Basically, the minimum energy efficiency standards mean that you have to improve the EPC rating of the.
So if a
place.
boiler does it,
Right,
doesn't
exactly.
mean you're on insulation.
Yeah. And although, external wall insulation being as it's kind of, a lot of money, that might not be an appropriate measure. They've now put in the minimum spend, so landlords have to spend a minimum of £3.5 grand.
Okay.
Unless it's
Which they
very
thought was too low.
exceptional circumstances because of the house, or if you tell them they don't have to, so don't do that.
Yeah, no, agreed. Okay, fine. So again, ask your landlord, prompt them, because they will get scared and probably improve your property. Happy with that one?
I think so, yeah.
Happy?
Yeah. I would also say, if you are really suffering, it's worth talking to your council. They might have kind of.
They do some. There are sometimes grants kicking.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. Question 6?
What is best insulation for soundproofing? And then we've got some options there, like cavity wall insulation, external wall insulation, or eco-ease.
Depends on the product. Right, so wool fibre tends to be a lot better than a sort of a board, essentially. So like a EPS, expanded polystyrene. So you'll see a lot of people will put in stud walls, they'll put in wool fibre, because that will help buffer noise.
Doesn't it help? Doesn't it depend on what your starting point is? So say if you've got single glazing and solid walls, and you live near a busy road, you're going to be more susceptible to noise pollution.
You absolutely, of course you are. But there, you've got two. So if you were in that example, if you were really desperate to limit noise, I would batten it out, put mineral wool insulation between the battens, re-plasterboard and plaster the whole thing. And then you've got something that's going to absorb the noise. I know Rockwool and Craft, they do specialist mineral wool acoustic battens or insulation to limit noise pollution. So you can look at those. I know that in some cases, and it does depend on the frequency of noise, but if you do external wall insulation and you use EPS, so expanded polystyrene, it actually amplifies the noise. So that's quite an interesting one, because people always assume any insulation will help. It definitely helps thermally, but acoustically it may not. So be a little bit
eco-ease
careful
is
on
not
that
an
one.
insulation, so I'm made of.
No, but it does help soundproof. Secondary glazing is actually a lot better than double glazing because there's a bigger gap. So,
but even so, like any secondary glaze, if you get a new new double glazed unit in your home now, typically that will massively improve the noise. I remember I had it done in a flat ages and ages ago, and it was, it was very, very loud. We were right by a busy road, and that made a huge difference. And I think it was just because the seals around the double glazing units are so good now. They're like old wooden double glazing, and they're quite rickety in the kind of double glazing unit, whereas the new ones are very, very good at stopping noise get in. But as you say, secondary glazing, bigger distance between the panels of glass, the better.
But also, yes, to say I think we mentioned this a few episodes ago, so even your loft insulation goes into your point about fibre insulation. So if you live, say, near an airport, so we're here on the Heathrow flight path, so loft insulation certainly would help reduce the noise, coming from above as well. So yeah, fibre is a very, very good one.
So I've got question 7. How do I know if I'm in fuel poverty? Right.
Okay. So, typically, I think the definitions of it have slightly altered over time, but the theme of the definition that keeps cropping up every time is typically to have a figure of around 10% of your net spend. So if you spend around 10% or more of your income on heating bills and electricity bills.
Okay, so 10% of what comes in.
Exactly.
So 10% of what comes in I spend on my electricity and gas.
Because there you can see it as a proportion of your total income. That is quite a lot of your outlay. So therefore, any variations to that, i.e. if the price goes up, you'll be spending a lot more money.
And that is the UK's definition, is it?
No, because it varies between different countries, which is actually really,
nations,
boring,
you mean?
But it's very interesting looking at the statistics, because you think that they read one way, but actually with the slightly different definitions in each country, you could easily.
So you mean between England, Wales, and Scotland, Northern Ireland, yeah?
Yeah. Exactly.
Which of those 4 has the highest number of people?
My internet's down, so I can't tell you the exact percentages.
You mean as a proportion?
Sure,
because obviously England, being the most populous country, will have the most people.
So I don't mean just as a number.
Yeah.
No, it's statistically, I'm pretty sure it's Northern Ireland, but I would have to check when my internet comes back up.
Let's see
I think that London, England is the lowest, but again, it's to do very much as well.
Fair enough.
But what I would say is, so if you are in fuel poverty and you do, as we said kind of earlier about the warm home discount, if you do kind of have certain entitlements that you're entitled to and you're receiving, then definitely check with energy suppliers about grants towards helping the energy efficiency of your property.
And I know that because when we used to go out and do these surveys, and we used to help people who were in really sort of dire straits.
Yes.
Get them in contact with their councils, and they tended to be able to do emergency grants to improve various bits and pieces. So obviously, if you've got a very old boiler and you put a brand new boiler in, you're going to use a lot less gas to produce the same amount of hot water and heating, and therefore you're going to save money. So these kind of things, swap all your bulbs out with LEDs. There are some really simple fixes.
And an important one as well, energy suppliers. So make sure that you, if you have access to the internet or computer, you shop around and you try and find the best deal possible, for that particular time. So if you can pay less.
We have a page on the website which goes through fuel poverty in all the different countries and the definitions and whatnot, and also gives a list of places you can go if you think you need some help.
Okay, perfect. When you put the link to that, perfect. Right, next question. Do I have to pay exit charges if I switch my energy supplier? So,
I assume yes, if you're within the kind of middle of the contract.
So what
with most.
Yeah, so I think it depends. So there are some contracts where there is no exit fees, right? And if you go onto somewhere like USwitch, which is kind of the obvious one, as a switching mechanism, you will find contracts where there are no fees, no exit fees, no early exit fees. That being said, if you're in the last 49 days, and this is as far as I understand, so Harry or Nick, correct me, if you're in the last 49 days of a fixed-term contract, you don't have to pay a get-out clause. Is that right? Even if there is a get-out clause?
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, last 7 weeks, I think it is, they contact you and let you know.
Okay, so if I've got 20 days to go, I can switch and not worry about having to pay the £10 originally on the...
Fine. So my example then. So if my one runs out on the 18th of December, 31st of October, I can start speaking to other people.
I mean,
Switching over.
so in rare situations, an energy company that you're switching to might decide to pay your exit fees for you, but it's not like phone contracts. They don't do that very often.
Okay.
Or if you're switching within the same supplier to a different contract, they might waive the exit fee as well.
Fine. Okay. Cool. Next question. Where are we?
What are windstalkers?
I'm trying to think.
What are windstalkers?
Okay, yeah, fine. So this is a concept for electricity production that is like a wind turbine, but they're like stalks of grass, and they wobble in the wind, but because you can get them really close. It's not real, is it? It's a concept.
It's a concept, yeah.
And because they can go really, really close, and they're made of ceramic things. It's really clutching at straws here, but I think they basically the concept
Doing well so
is
far.
I think it's piezoelectric, which I quite like as a kind of concept. But basically, they blow in the wind, a bit like in theory a wind turbine, but because there's loads really, really close together, you can produce a lot more electricity.
Because of what, rubbing against each other.
And every time they
friction.
blow, they're producing electricity via piezoelectricity.
Okay.
Concept.
We've got a blog about this.
Yeah, I think so. That's why I'm remembering.
Can we have a link?
We
Please.
have,
My
we have
memories-
it on the website.
My memory is awful, and I've just about remembered that. So I've definitely done something like that in the past. Anyway, I think that is what winds.
It's a very cool theoretical technology, but it's not one that's being used, and it looks.
Who on earth asked that? And if they found it, why didn't they just read what they would?
Want to read a blog? Anyway.
Interesting. Good. Do electric showers save you money?
I don't think they do. Because I think because it's powered by electricity as a source, it's 3.5 times more expensive than gas.
Yeah.
So how on earth would it save you?
Because you don't. I'm going theoretical here, but to
I've
have
got
a
a combination
shower.
boiler, by the way. So
Fine. So you're about to pee all over my content. But if you've got a hot water tank and you've got to produce the hot water, I've got to. I might produce too much hot water.
what if I've got a mega flow with 100 mil of insulation encased?
Granted, so the hot water would stay hot. It depends if you have a shower and then you don't have a shower again for 15 days. Depends, I guess, on showering habits, which I think they're unusual showering habits.
I just think
I get that.
with an electric shower, people just run it too hard and too hot. So just by the nature of it, you'd want to just.
But I kind of get it in terms of if you have a house, you build an extension rather than all the additional
so
plumbing
sufficient at the
needs.
point of use, basically.
Yeah, kind of. Because you turn it on, you know you're going to get hot water out of it. You run it for 5 minutes, then you turn it off. There's a convenience to it.
So it might save you money.
Yeah. Sitting on the fence on that one. Yeah. Okay, I'm excited about you answering this. Why do we get told to worry about water shortages and water running out, but at the same time worrying about flooding and rising sea levels?
I was telling you about that last week, or 3 weeks ago, whenever it was.
Tell me.
Southeast, funny enough, doesn't get much rainfall, for instance, but it's got the highest concentration of people in
Okay.
that space. So southeast
Supply and demand.
Southeast gets quite frequent droughts, but people out in the southwest. So if you go to like the Bristol Channel, Cornwall, Devon, it gets more rainfall. So aquifers and water holes, they tend to hold much more water, which is less susceptible to droughts even in kind of hot summers like we had last year. So it kind of depends on the part of the country that you are.
So it depends on demand for water and the water stores you have.
So in the east of the country, and particularly southeast, it doesn't actually rain that much. So and then the amount of usage that we just use way more water sometimes than what we can.
And I think the rising flooding and rising sea levels, this is to do with sort of systematic climate change, I think, is where this person was alluding to. Rising sea levels as sort of polar ice caps melting. The issue there is that it's between potable water, i.e. water you can use to drink, and seawater.
So we don't have desalination, which is the extraction of the salt from the seawater into potable water.
For example, reverse osmosis
Okay.
is an example of desalination.
Very good, James. Technology is not quite there yet. So, we have
We're
to.
fighting the osmotic gradient.
No, just impressed at your.
I think so
knowledge.
it's kind of two different things as you explained. So yeah, I mean, rising sea levels, unfortunately, nothing to do with water shortages.
Yeah, and also Thames Water, all the leaky pipes, so you could fix them. Right, can I use foam insulation on internal walls? I don't know if the person meant spray foam, because I've seen that some companies offer that in lofts. I'd probably say no.
But you can use a foam-based rigid board. Yeah.
Yeah, well, that's where I was going to go.
So
you get like insulation on the back of plasterboard.
Yeah. So the answer is yes, but it just depends on what type of foam insulation you mean.
But you wouldn't use spray foam.
No, the problem with spray foam, and we're going to get comments here because I've had disagreements with people about this. But the problem with spray foam is if water is sat on wood, right, it will rot. And when that spray foam sits, it gets fired against all the joists and everything. Yeah, and water, if there's any water there, it will literally, sorry, look at the camera, it will just sit against the wood and it will slowly rot. Right, and so that's my big issue. I have been told...
On traditional masonry, yeah. But if you've got, say, a metal outbuilding, then, it's you're putting a synthetic into something that probably, hasn't got as much risk as, say, as timber.
Yeah, I agree.
Then it's fine.
And they do talk about some of this being open cell and water dissipates through it, but I don't believe it. Anyway, but the foam insulation, if you do it and you go with like a plasterboard with a phenolic foam on the back, so like a Celotex type product, Kingspan, something like that, you get really big energy savings. The issues of internal wall insulation, though. So, go on. Do you want to tell me the issue of internal wall insulation?
Interstitial condensation.
What is that?
So when you've got the insulation on the inside, and you are effectively, then you've got the fabric, and then you've got the external elements. So heat, you're going to probably correct me on this, but my understanding is that heat goes from a hot space to a cold space.
Mm-hmm.
On its travels, the vapor has got to condense somewhere. So what happens there is, because the insulation's on the internal leaf, sometimes you can get a condensation point right behind that on the kind of internal face of the fabric itself, where that's severely exacerbated. You can get moisture build up, and therefore that moisture can travel through and impede the insulation fabric and cause damp and so forth.
Yeah, so I've always done it a little bit more simplistically than that. I think that's right. I think that's 100% right. But I think I've always thought that if I have my heating system on, right, and I don't have any insulation on a brick wall, the heat will just travel through that brick wall, and it keeps it at a certain temperature. Mm-hmm. Yeah, so because I tend to have the heating on in the winter, it means that brick, it might get pretty cold, but it doesn't get as cold as it could do. If I suddenly whack a load of insulation internally, right, the transfer of heat from inside to outside is going to slow right down, right? So this brick that previously had heat coming through it, which didn't necessarily dry it out, but it did a tiny bit, but kept it at a relative temperature, suddenly doesn't get warm. This brick gets freezing, right? And if water is raining on it, if rain is making it all wet, this could in theory then freeze and you start blowing the brick. And that's my way of understanding.
Onion skin weathering.
Yeah, I like that, but I love a bit of onion skin weathering, but I don't know if that's the right term.
Anyway, so we move on to question 13. I can't get gas. Should I be heating with oil or electricity?
Electricity, 15 pence per kilowatt. The electric heater is 100% efficient. 1 unit of electricity, 1 unit of useful heat. A oil boiler, to buy a unit of oil, it's about 5p per kilowatt hour, right? So that means 1 unit of oil is gonna cost you 5p. They're not 100% efficient, yeah. So it's kind of more like 90% efficient. Yep. So it drives the price up marginally, but comparing electricity and oil, it's much cheaper to get oil.
Okay. Well, unless I'd say possibly if you get a heat pump.
Yes, heat pumps change everything.
So where you're taking, so on an air source, you're taking excess heat from your garden and transferring it to your house using a very efficient source like electricity to transfer that, or you're using it from the ground. So that's a ground source heat pump, which are even more efficient than that. So,
Mhm.
but I'd say it depends though, because it's quite difficult kind of to compare the two. But you can still do the calculation, I suppose.
But you've got to have a big oil storage.
Yeah.
Like electricity is very easy.
And oil's filthy as well. It smells.
It does. It does. Right. So I don't know on this question if we're going to know the answer, but we'll give it a go.
I'd say, look, yeah, go on.
We bought a house with solar panels, but the company that installed them and got the payments, so this is a rent-a-roof scheme, has gone out of business. Who owns the panels now? If we need them removed, who will have to pay? Right.
I would say, so I'd say who owns the panels now? I'd say it's probably the creditor. So the people that kind of financed the original scheme in the first place.
Yes. Agreed.
So it's going to have a bond or some sort of debenture attached to it. You know, someone's receiving those
payments.
payments.
So the contract will move to another person. So you are still, unfortunately, within that contract. It's not like you can say, right, the company's gone bust and take the solar panels off, because you are contractually obliged to keep the solar panels on your roof.
And then if you remove them, you have to pay for them. Well, the answer is probably you, i.e. the person who...
And you will have to pay out the contract.
Yeah.
Essentially, you will have to pay that new owner, the company that, you know, have taken over the solar panel company, you will have to pay them the money to get out the contract. Now, if you did this in 2011 and you rented your roof, that could be tens of thousands of pounds, unfortunately, still remaining on the contract.
Yeah.
And so that is a huge outlay to get rid of them. The issue is if you come to try and sell a property, and we're seeing more and more of this. This is one of our most commented on blogs on our website, is that if you have solar panels on your roof from a rent-a-roof scheme, trying to sell that property becomes a bit of a nightmare. It can be done, but the number of people that got in touch with us with sales falling through because of this.
It sits on the land registry, so when I do the searches,
Yeah,
it comes up on the...
And the issue is on the land registry, if the contract wasn't done correctly, on the land registry, it kind of these entries appear of just these ridiculous names. You know, the companies that have done it tend to be, they're not doing it properly. I was about to be rude about them, but I'm sorry if you've gone through it. If you're not living in the property for 25 years, I'm sorry. But yeah, you're going to have to make those payments directly to the people that have taken over that contract.
So question 15, does insulating paint actually work, James?
I'm going to say no.
Okay.
I may get in trouble
Do we
here.
just move on?
Yeah, the only reason I'm going to say no is because if you're putting a paint on, a paint is a millimetre thick.
You need a material to slow down
maximum.
that transfer of
Well,
heat.
there's
Yeah,
like
which
even
is
the
insulation.
Yeah, the best product in the whole world isn't going to have that good thermal efficiency at a millimetre thick. So I just don't believe it. Basically, you know, if you just go and put it into number terms, if you're putting insulation onto the outside of a house to hit building regs, you have to fit
But
90
listen,
millimetres.
I'd like to be proven wrong. So if there's any products
Please.
out there, write
Please.
to us, send us the numbers of research. and we'll
When
take a look at
when we went and did that course on U values
Yeah.
relatively recently, what was the word I couldn't say? Emissivity or something.
emissivity.
Yeah, emissivity. So that's with the foil-backed insulation. That's quite interesting because foil is obviously tiny. It's very, very thin. But that had a real impact on heat transfer.
Because it reflects it back. Or
So potentially there is some science I don't understand. But I'd say no.
So ideally just tin foil the inside of your house.
Yeah.
Great.
But you need a cavity though. That's what the U value man said.
Fine. So don't put tin foil on the inside of your house.
Anyway.
Good. Next one.
Is that the same as the first or second question? How much space?
Where can I find a domestic RHI registered investor in my area? Explain to me what a domestic RHI registered investor is, Nick. Wow.
I'll take this one, don't you
Go on.
worry. So basically, if you want to get, say, a heat pump or a biomass boiler or solar thermal, and you don't have the excessive amount of money to buy one, then you can get a registered investor to pay for part or all of the initial
They take the
expenditure,
RHI.
and then they get the payments.
This sounds like rent and roof.
Well, the difference is that you own the installation. They've paid for it and they get the payments, but it's yours.
So what if you sell the house?
then I think that it goes on to the next person, I'm pretty sure.
Are you going to have the same issues? Because obviously you've got less an issue because feed-in tariff and rent-to-roof scheme, 25 years. RHI, 7 years. But if I want to sell my house next year and I want to put a new heating system in, am I going to run into problems?
Yes, probably, because
Fine.
of the same reason.
It sits on the electricity meter, so it's a bit like the Green Deal, I suppose. You would see it up on the searches, wouldn't you?
Okay, so if you're planning on moving house,
check with your mortgage provider, so they might say it's fine.
But it's not your mortgage; it's the person coming in with the new mortgage on your house.
Yes.
Do you see what I mean?
So disclose it, obviously, and then the person coming in has to be comfortable.
Yeah,
that's what they're taking on.
Well, the other thing about it is that with as you were saying, with the rent-a-roof kind of thing, with solar power, there are a lot of companies doing it and kind of maybe not so reputable. Whereas this time with the RHI, because it's only been in place for a year or so that you can do this, they have to be registered. Going back to this question, they have to be registered investors, which is a process they have to go to get approved by Ofgem. But they also have to be on either the Renewable Energy Consumer Code register or the Home Insulation Energy Systems Contractors Scheme, which are just some really nice, easy things to remember.
They are good. Maybe Nick could come up with an acronym for them. You know, like REC, for example.
Or the SEGs, what were they?
SEG.
The SEG, yeah.
But yeah, so either one of those registers, we'll put links to them on the bottom. But one of them, the HIES, I'm not going to say the whole thing again, they're on their website's down at the moment. But if you go onto the RECC website, the REC website, then you can do a search for registered investors.
We would suggest getting a loan to do this, right? Because the loan's on you, sell your house, then you can do what you want. You own it, you get the payments, use the payments to offset the loan payments. I would suggest that would probably be a better idea than potentially tying yourself up in legal loops and not being able to sell your property. Fair?
Yeah, I agree.
Right, but obviously we're not financial advisors and therefore you don't have to listen to us. I think that we should mention that. Last question. What thickness for external wall insulation should I get?
I'd go, so if it's solid, if you've got a traditional solid brick house, you have to sort of follow U values rather than thickness. So different materials will kind of generate different U values. So on expanded polystyrene, for instance, on a 1930 solid brick house, you need about 90 mil of polystyrene insulation to achieve 0.3 watts per meter squared Kelvin, which is for a retrofit project, to get the current building regulation standards. Obviously, if you're doing extensions and new builds, it's going to have different rules and regulations that are a bit more stringent. And then if you use different materials, you might need less or more of the thickness.
What's the thinnest insulation material I could use?
Probably a K5 board, so it's a phenolic core board.
Okay, thickness?
So I don't want to I'm going to sit on the fence, but probably somewhere between like 60, 70 mil.
Okay, fine.
But you just obviously double check.
And if you needed a U value done,
ask James.
Yeah, big time. Right, cool. Well, that's it for episode 20's questions.
We've got time for some news.
Yeah, go on.
Well, I was going to say a bit of sad news there. So this is the BBC today. So climate change effects link to puffin deaths in Alaska. So what they're saying there is
puffin to nothing.
Puffin to nothing. Anyway, essentially, what's happened there because of the perceived climate change links of warming sea temperatures, and as a result, causing fish to migrate further up north, means less food for the puffins. So the poor things just starve to death. To nothing. James.
Sorry, that is very sad.
So I thought it was a bit of sad news there, but
sorry, I tried to put a cheery spin on it.
It was on the BBC today, so I thought that was not
Anyway,
a great thing. We'll have some positive news.
We've got some more positive because I feel bad now. I've made a joke about puffin deaths.
Well, I mean, there hasn't really been much because we've been gripped by elections and all sorts of things. Over
and the Champions League final, which we're not going to reveal the result.
We're not going to reveal the winners. But yeah, it's bad news in the UK energy market, because you're constantly getting suppliers fined and energy companies going bust.
We're going to have some good news next week.
Yes,
We're going to have 5 stories of good news. Okay. Right. That is it.
I think that's it for this week. So tune in again next week, and we'll see you soon.